You're okay, ma'am. You're safe now. Can you look at me?
They're still out there.
We'll take care of it. Right now, we just need to get you warm.
Dispatch, victim located. We're heading back to the vehicle.
Easy does it. Lean on me.
Hello and welcome to the show, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Tonight we have a wild murder. Murders from New York. I think it was all New York. It's been a while since I did this one, so we'll have to. We'll go through this one, but this has been our first show since Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
The whole holiday has been a blur to me, and you, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's been wild.
Yeah, it's been crazy, but we're almost
crazy.
through it. It's the 30th. I feel like I want to buy a dumpster and then light it on fire tomorrow night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what 2025 has been. Oh my God.
It has been a wild ride.
My microphone's not on, so can you hear me okay?
I can.
Turn it on. Let me see. Still got me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Well, so this murder story is from 1873. And I'm always interested in these old cases. This one is a guy named Harmon Holcher, who lived in Albany, New York. And he worked as a scissors grinder.
Okay. What is it with
Well, I'm assuming,
and it's always got something to do with some just oddball job. Not oddball, but, grinder.
Well,
Last week was
the tannery. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, then the pig farm. I'm like, okay, we kind of have a theme going
the pig
on.
farm. That was so bad. Yeah.
That one was wild.
If you guys have not watched our pig farm episode, go back and watch it because we really had to tone that one down. So this guy was a scissors grinder, and in 1873 he goes missing. May 7th, 1873, his scissors grinding machine was found a mile south of South Coxsackie, New York. Coxsackie, Coxsackie, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. If I didn't pronounce it correctly, leave a comment, let me know. The machine was broken apart, and it was actually pinned to a telegraph pole, lodged up against a telegraph pole. I don't know if mud or whatever, but nearby was a letter which referred to the killing of a tinker and another man. The writer of the letter claimed that he was one of a gang and that he eluded officers. So he's leaving notes and trails and all this stuff. Near the machine was 2 brass hinges that the police seized as evidence. They're just laying there. They don't go with the scissors grinding machine. What are these hinges from? That's weird. Did somebody drop them? We'll take them. Good thinking. The hinges also appeared to have been burned. So
that's
they
weird.
have these hinges. Yeah, that's weird. So this guy, Harmon, the scissors grinder, he made 2 or 3 trips a year to the Catskills. And if you have never been to the Catskills, it's absolutely beautiful up there. And he did these, he would come into town and he would sharpen scissors and knives. Okay. So he had this portable machine. He traveled around with it, I'm assuming on a buggy kind of thing. And he would travel around, and he had about $100 of cash in a silver watch that he had gotten for his fee. So in 1873, I'm assuming that's pretty good money.
That's, really good money.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys remember, so I'm old enough to remember when I'm ancient. So when you
you're not.
I am. Sharpen scissors with a glass. Did you ever do that?
No.
Yeah, so you would take just a drinking glass. My grandma had one dedicated to this. And she would take a drinking glass and she would open the scissors and go like this over the rim, and it would sharpen the scissors.
Really?
Yeah. And up in attics, a
Huh.
lot of people would find, and I still see it even today on like old home pages. There'll be glass, like what the balls that you would use to weight a net down, like a fishing net, about
Yeah.
this big, and they're stuck together, really tight in metal. That was to sharpen knives because you could.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So my grandma had both of those. Well, she used the glass and she had that little contraption, whatever it was called. So he's going around and he's sharpening scissors and knives, and it's a big deal. I mean, I have my knives sharpened, my clipper blades, everything. We have a guy here now. It's awesome. So he goes missing. He didn't come home. So when he left home and traveled, he went to Poughkeepsie, and then he traveled up to the Catskills to the home of the Waltzes. And a lot of times this guy had dedicated routes and he knew people and he could stay with them. So it's not like he had to pay for travel, but he'd stay 1 or 2 days in this little town with these people. Everybody would bring their axes, knives, scissors, whatever. He'd sharpen and away he'd go. So Mrs. Holcher, because he never shows up at home, his wife gets a hold of Mrs. Waltz. She travels down to Mrs. Waltz's house and says, did Harmon come here? I mean, normally he stops here. If he doesn't stay with you, he at least has a beer with your husband. What's going on? And Mrs. Waltz said, yeah, he'd been here about 2 weeks ago, but he left about midnight and went on his way. And so soon, so he leaves. And there was a confusing part of the story. So what I do with these stories is I get every newspaper article written and I read them all and then condense it all into one story, right? And sometimes there's conflicting information, and I don't know if I find that a lot, even in testimony, like trial stuff. I think the writers just took liberty with stuff. So when Mrs. Waltz said, yes, he was here and he left, and Mr. Waltz said, well, yeah, he'd been here 2 weeks ago. He left about midnight, and then he contradicted himself, saying he left the next morning. And Mrs. Holcher thought that was weird. She thought that was weird. Some of the newspaper articles actually had that contradiction in there. Some of them didn't. So but it's a key point of the story, because did he leave at midnight or did he leave the next morning?
Yeah.
So Mr. Waltz also claimed that he had heard that Waltz had indeed stayed with them, and that he heard loud screaming in the room that was occupied by Holcher. And he was about to see what the screaming was all about when he met his son in the hallway. And his son explained that Holcher was vomiting, and that's what the screaming was about. And that satisfied Mr. Waltz, and he returned to bed. Now,
because who screams when they vomit?
Except maybe a little kid when they're scared, right?
Right? Yeah.
But
but they're not getting like screaming bloody murder.
No. So, so my question is that so Mr. Waltz's son's name is Joseph. If Joseph had attacked Holcher, let's assume that that's what happened right now, and that was the noise his father heard. Later on, when you think back to the statement and Waltz going to bed, you would think that there would have been an indication on Joseph's body that something had happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next morning, Waltz claims he goes into Holcher's room and he found a large pool of blood on the floor of the room. Yeah, that's what I mean. So if his son had been with Holcher and there's this much blood in the room, and there was the police kept saying in every news article saying a large quantity of blood, like a lot. And I forget, what does a human body contain? It's a lot.
I think it's 5 liters. No, more than that. It's a lot.
It's a lot. So the pillow and the blanket from the room was gone, and Holcher was gone. And he said that was the last he'd seen of Holcher. And Harmon left Harmon Holcher left behind this little bell in his room, and he said he was going to keep it as payment for the missing pillow and blanket. Like, who does that? But anyway,
Yeah.
he allowed Mrs. Holcher to see the bell, and then he sent his son into the house. He sent his son in the house to go get the bell, and she looked at it, and she said, "Yeah, that was his bell. I don't know what he would have a bell for. Why would he have a bell except
Yeah,
to
that's
call
weird.
a servant or something?" But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
yeah. So his son left, but then his son shows them the bell. She agrees that's the bell. That's her husband's bell. So his son left, and then he didn't return. So no, he just took off. Mr. Holtz and Mrs. Holcher went up to the house, and he showed her the bloody floor, and he said he attempted to clean it, but the stain remained on the wooden floor, and so she could see the stain. She was furious and upset, and she didn't know what to do. So Joseph hadn't returned, so he's taken off. She can't speak to him, so she goes back home to Albany, and she speaks to the police chief in her town and told the police chief what's going on. He was really suspicious because he knew the family. I mean, these towns, police know everybody.
I mean, and like in that time frame, for someone to go travel to do that, yeah, every town's going to get acquainted with them, especially
Right.
to the point that he was staying with people.
Right. Exactly. So he is suspicious, and he goes up to the Catskills to arrest. He's just going to arrest Mr. Waltz and his son Joseph, and then figure it out later. That was his game plan. So, but the body has never been found at this point.
Never?
It has been found. So he goes up there to arrest Mr. Waltz and his son Joseph. The body has not been found at this point. Joseph immediately confesses to the murder and said his father and his mother were innocent. He didn't want them to be drugged into this. And he explained that his father and Holcher had set up until the rest of the household went to bed. They were drinking beer and talking and visiting. And once his father and Harmon had retired, Joseph went out to the woodpile and got a hatchet. Like so many of these stories involve a hatchet.
It's always an axe.
I know. Always.
I'm like, why?
I guess it was available. Maybe they didn't have a lot of firearms back then. So when his dad and Holcher retired and went to their bedrooms, and he knew that Holcher had gone to sleep, and he was waiting for his dad to go to sleep, he crept into Holcher's room, and he started striking him with a hatchet. And that was the scream that his dad heard. But then he comes out, and he tells his dad, "Oh, he was just vomiting." He would have been covered in blood.
Yeah, to have that much blood that they said.
Yeah. He said he tried to clean up the blood by taking the blanket and all that stuff. He took Holcher's cash and his watch, and that's what he wanted. He hid the items in the barn. He wanted the guy's money because he knew the guy was traveling home with money, and $100 at that time was a lot of money. So he took Holcher's body. I don't know if he must have waited till his dad went back to sleep, and then the police, he never said how he got the body out of the house, but the police believe he wrapped Holcher up in the blanket and drug him out of the house, and that took the pillow because it was covered in blood because he attacked him in his sleep. And when they end up finding the body 2 weeks after the arrest, and Holcher was dressed in his shirt and underwear, and his head, they said, was completely mangled. Like he was unidentifiable, but he was the only person missing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they knew who it was, but like, Lordy, what is up with the hatchets? I don't
know. But remember the hinges? So the hinges found near the scissors grinder, they traced it back to the Holcher's farm. And I want to say that they found a burn pile where he was burning some of Holcher's belongings. And the hinges matched exactly some hinges that were removed from like a barn door or a stall door. So that when they went through and they were looking at the barn, they're like, well, why does this door have no hinges and it's just standing there, against the barn, and the hinges lined up perfectly. So with the holes and everything else. So it was those hinges. And of course, the murder caused a lot of excitement in the community. And Holcher was really, really well known and liked in the farming community. The farmers really depended on him to sharpen all their implements. Joseph put in a plea of insanity. And since the plea, he had confessed to yet another murder, one of an organ grinder, about 3 years prior. I'm assuming that an organ grinder is somebody that goes and tunes organs like a piano tuner.
I'm really hoping so, because that's not where my mind went.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm really hoping it's like, the piano, the organ, not, an organ.
Anywho,
I mean,
he stated he was under the control of an evil spirit and that he could not resist the voices of this invisible master. While in jail, he wrote an act to be presented to the state legislature for its adoption. This guy's ballsy. Here we go. The act, as he wrote it, would enable him to go home and take care of his mother and father and their farm. And here's the act as he wrote it. It's a proclamation, and it's an act relating to the confinement of the prisoner Joseph Waltz in the jail at Catskill in the county of Greene, state of New York. And then he puts in there, past January 30th, 1874, 3/5 being present, because that's what you would have to do to pass something back then. But he's assuming they're going to pass it on this date, right? So here is what he says. Proclamation. Whereas it is represented that a certain young man, having been confined a long time in the jail at Catskill in the county of Greene, and that he is very desirous of going home to aid, protect, and comfort his aged parents who are dwelling alone on their farm, situated in the town of Catskill in the said county of Greene. And whereas it is represented that it is necessary for the health and business of said party that he should be permitted to resume his respective duties in the agricultural and horticultural departments at his home, he being an experienced farmer, pomologist, and gardener. Therefore, people of the state of New York, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Ready? Section 1. This guy's unbelievable. All persons are hereby appointed by the authority to unite and stand together as one in order to obtain the power and permission from the President of the Union and the Governor of our state to liberate the said prisoner Joseph Waltz, now confined in the county of Greene, state of New York. All justices, attorneys, counselors at law in said county are hereby strictly and immediately appointed to fulfill the provisions of this important act. You got to give it to him. I mean,
okay, he might be a little crazy.
Yeah, a little crazy. He's a good writer. But Section 2. All persons violating the provision of this act shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor and shall likewise be liable to a penalty of $50 for each offense. And it shall be the duty of all sheriffs, police officers, and constables of each and every town in said county to see that these provisions are enforced. The only violation would be is if he went back to jail.
Yeah.
So who would be violating what?
I mean
okay. Section 3. All penalties imposed by the provisions of this act may be recovered with the cost of suit by any persons in his or their own names before any justice of the peace in said county of Greene. Section 4, this act shall take effect immediately. I have compared the above with the original law on file in the jail under my hand, and I do hereby certify that the same are correct transcripts therefrom and of the whole of said original law, given under my hand, signed this 30th day of January, 1874, signed by me, Joseph Waltz. Okay.
I mean, so he's got some balls.
He does. And you know what they did was they distributed this amongst the town to let everybody read it. He was like, everybody
They're
was,
like, hey,
I
let's
know.
see how far he can push this.
Yeah, I mean, woo. Okay, so in March 18th, 1874, the doctors examined the mental condition and reported that he was sane in their opinion and was sane at the time of murder. During the trial, a Dr. James Jewell, a resident of Catskill and Joseph's doctor, testified that on 12 occasions he saw Joseph had violent spells. He said he would administer a grain of morphine, more than a normal dose, so that Joseph would fall asleep. And when he was in these spells, he would perspire quite a bit. However, the doctor believes these spells were faked. Okay, so if they were faked, why did he give them morphine? I guess just to calm him down and make him sleep.
Probably. To
Other
get him to
witness-
shut up.
Yeah, like just give him something to make him lay down.
Yeah.
Other witnesses have never seen him have any spells whatsoever and didn't believe that Joseph was possessed or being talked to by spirits or devils. They didn't
No.
believe. Dr. Mackey testified that when he visited Waltz, he had seen no symptoms of any issues at all, physically or mentally. But he did say that Waltz perspired as freely as a sane person, whatever that means. And it was also, in his opinion, that the spells were fake. On Friday of the trial, Joseph refused to walk up the stairs to the courthouse, so he had to be carried in a chair. And then he attacked one of the constables, so he was subdued
Oh, my lordy.
and strapped to the seat. This guy is a real winner.
But I'm not crazy, or I'm crazy, but yeah, no. Dude,
After
you're just a
the-
piece of crap.
Right. After the show, a Dr. Wetmore just testified that he had visited Joseph about 15 times in jail. He said it was characteristic of the insane to close their eyes. So then he turned and looked at Joseph and he closed his eyes. I'm like, what is going on? The defense stated that he had an expert from the Hudson River State Hospital testify about their examination of Joseph. But they couldn't produce anybody from the state hospital to testify. So it didn't matter. Waltz again made a scene on Friday afternoon in court. He tried to escape the courtroom. He was subdued. He was handcuffed and sat again in the defendant's chair, and they had to strap him in. So
I'm going to tell you. Here's what kind of cracks me up, because he wanted this, a whole act put in place, because he wanted to go home and console and comfort his parents. Dude, you're acting a fool in a courtroom, attacking people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So on Saturday, which impressed me that the jury was there on a Saturday.
Yeah.
On Saturday, the jury took 1 hour to deliberate the verdict. They declared him guilty of murder in the first degree, and they handed down the sentence. You have been convinced of the greatest crime known to law, that is deliberate and willful taking with design the life of a fellow being. The court has no option, much as it shrinks from the discharge of this painful duty, but to pronounce upon you the dread sentence of death. In the justice of the verdict, which has been found you guilty of this great and high crime, the court must fully concur. Whatever could be done for you by the skill and talent of man has been done. I need not speak in commentary terms of the great effort to which your counsel has made on your behalf. The jury and the court have listened with pleasure to this eloquent and forcible appeals for you, representing every possible consideration and every possible motive that could move the judgment and the hearts of men. But the result could not be otherwise. That you understood that crime, that you knew that you ought not to take the life of a man who trusted himself to your care, we fully believe. This goes on. We sympathize with your father. We sympathize with your mother and sister. and also your brother who is absent in a distant state. We also sympathize with you. You must prepare to meet your God. You must prepare to render to him, as well as to this earthly tribunal and to the people whose laws you have broken, an account of this terrible night's doings. Prepare to meet him. We shall give you time and opportunity to do so. It is a terrible thing to stand in the presence of the great judge who has said, "Thou shalt not kill," and to answer the violation of this law. We commend you to his mercy and we commend you to his grace. Yeah, that was
probably like the best guilty verdict I've ever heard in my life.
Isn't it great?
That was really good. That was really good.
Yeah. Then the judge says, Joseph Waltz, the sentence of the court is that you will be imprisoned in the jail of the County of Greene until the first day of May next. And on that day, between the hours of 10 and 2 o'clock, you will be hanged within that jail or within the prison walls of the County of Greene, or a yard or enclosure adjoining thereto by the neck until you are dead, and may God have mercy on your soul. Okay. But Joseph's crimes aren't over, folks.
Wait, what?
Yeah. In the last few days prior to his execution, he was alone, unshackled in his cell. A police officer named Ernest was guarding him. He left for dinner and was gone for about an hour. During this time, Joseph removed a strap of iron from the seams of the floor and hid it. So I'm assuming that what they had was some chains or leg shackles strapped down to the floor, and he worked that loose over the period of the time he was in there. When Ernest returned to give Joseph dinner, Joseph struck him on the head several times with a piece of iron. Then he took Ernest's weapon and he took control of Joseph. Ernest's skull had been fractured and it believed he would not live. Yeah. So he was then subdued by the other guards who heard the commotion. They came in, got Ernest out of there, took him to the hospital, the whole 9 yards. I never could find a follow-up on Ernest. I was hoping that he made it. This guy's Joseph was just a great man. On the day of his execution, it was reported he was sullen and quiet. He was shackled to his bed from then on. He slept, maybe an hour the night before the execution. Sometimes he squatted on the floor and hugged his knees. He wouldn't talk. He mumbled at the blood on the floor where he attacked Ernest. They left the blood. They didn't even bother cleaning up the cells. Why?
Damn.
He made ugly grimaces and he was snarling at people like a beast when they spoke to him, snarling and gnashing his teeth. He was just, he's acting insane, right? He does act insane. So everybody said insane, but he's acting insane. Maybe that was a ploy to try to get away from the hanging. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah. He was asked if Father O'Driscoll could be sent for, but he wouldn't answer. Nonetheless, the father came in and tried to have Joseph accept religion. Joseph wouldn't have it. Instead, he said he was going from the gallows straight to the moon, there to be crowned the Lunarian king. He said that Queen Luna visited him regularly every night, coming down in a beautiful chariot and begging him to go to her realm and marry her after he had been hanged. He had drawn I know, he's playing this one out, right?
Yeah.
I really wish that they would have captured this in some kind of photo. He had drawn a balloon on the wall of his cell, which was going to carry him to the queen after his death. He told Father O'Driscoll, I don't want religion. What if I got to go to heaven and hell and things like that kind? I'm a greater man than all you think I am. You laugh at poor Joe and keep him chained up, and you don't know that he's going to be the monarch of the Lunarians and the husband of the radiant queen of the moon. I want to die and have all things harmonized and rhymed with the spirit of my queen. Father O'Driscoll, you may read to me out of his prayer book if you want to, if it makes you feel good, but I don't care for it. I'm a greater man than any of you.
Not narcissistic at all.
So on the farm, they had gone and found that Joseph had actually built a Lunarian tower. This was his belief. It
Okay.
was 8 feet high. It was made of stone, and he often begged to be taken to the farm one night so that he could sit and talk with his Lunarian queen. Okay, so the day of the hanging, his mother and his father and his sister arrived at the jail in the morning. His mother spoke to him in German and was terrified for his fate. I mean, she sobbed, poor gal, you know. His sister held on to him and said, Joe, you're going to meet your God in a few minutes. And she cried, do something for me, Joe. She said, ain't you sorry, Joe, for what you did? Think of your God and ask him to forgive your sins. It's only an hour before you've got to die. And they saw we can't do any more for you. Won't you speak to me? Just one word? I've always been good to you and tried to make you a good boy. His poor sister. Joseph was moved. His sister just sobbed. And when his sister rose to her feet in German, she said, if you have anything to say to me before I go and before you die, say it to me now. And he just lunged at her and snarled and yelled, get out. Yeah. So his family left the cell, and you know, they're devastated. Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And the sheriff came for him, and officers flanked his sides. And they walked to the gallows, which was in a small room at this top story of the building. They built a gallows for this purpose. They placed the noose on his neck. The sheriff read the death warrant, and the priest pronounced the benediction. Waltz wouldn't move. The newspaper said that he would just look at the spectators and scowl. He didn't care. He was just furious at all of it. The newspaper journalist wrote that he growled like an animal in an inarticulate expression of impotent rage. A black cape was placed on his head, and then the sheriff pulled the cord and he was hanged. And people talked about the criminal, the crime, and the execution. And although he had been pronounced sane, many people questioned that. They're like,
I mean,
was it all an act?
Yeah. That's a hard one, especially when he's like talking about the
Lunarian.
I'm gonna go be I'm gonna go be a king and that's my queen. And I'm like, okay, that's a little wild. And to the fact that even building a tower.
Yeah,
like, that's a little like
you're dedicated.
Very dedicated.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I'm like, okay, you murdered someone 3 years prior. So obviously you can maintain.
Right. You can work the farm and nobody's the wiser. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I can't. The whole time I was reading this and writing this, I'm like, is he sane? Is he not sane? The town of Catskill would not allow him to be buried in any of their cemeteries.
I wouldn't either.
Nothing to do with him. So the family took him home and he was buried on the corner of the farm with only his family present. And it was about a year to the date and about the same hour of the night in the spot where he buried Harmon Holcher.
Now, isn't that some karma?
Yeah, isn't it? There is a plate on his coffin that people, or not on his coffin, but over his grave that reads, Joseph Walsh, born, died, rest in peace. You know, the dates. He was born March 14th, 1850, died May 1, 1874, and rest in peace. And it's there.
So he was 24?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. He was young.
He was young. So he started killing 21. That's the first one he confessed to. I wonder if he did others before then. And he was probably harming animals because that's usually the beginning stages and doing weird things. And
yeah. I mean, and I really want to say, and this goes, I mean, and I've dealt with murders in my own family of like life or things like that. What's truly heartbreaking is the families. It's not only the victims' families who suffer, it's also the criminal, like, you know. the person who committed the crime, their family suffers because a lot of the time they don't realize that their family is even that way. And then like that situation, his sister just being like, say something to me. And he wouldn't. Like, I can't
Yeah.
even imagine how distraught she was.
Well, let's face it, mental health care and healthcare in general was next
Well,
to
I mean,
impossible
especially
to
back
get
then. Yeah, I mean, because if like a woman back then, if you back talked your husband, you were considered insane and went to the insane asylum. So
Right.
I mean, and up until I'd say here within the last 20 years, has mental health issues actually been more talked about?
Yeah, like it's okay to tell everybody you're depressed or
Mhm.
have anxiety or whatever, and it's not frowned
Mhm.
upon. You deal with it. You have your friends help you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know that there had to been some really wacky signs with this guy.
Oh
That
yeah.
the family was just like, oh, that's just Joe. He's a little weird, you know.
Joe's just out there talking to the moon, waiting to
Yeah,
go home to his queen.
you
Like,
know.
I
You
mean,
know,
I'll
he
tell you,
just
when you
didn't
first
understand.
said that, where my mind went, right? I'm sure you know exactly where my mind went. As soon as you said the moon, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, yeah. No, he. Well, it reminded me because he was going to the Lumerians on Mount Shasta.
Oh.
They believe that that's where the city, the Lumeria. I think it's Lumerians,
Hmm.
right? They're from Mount Shasta. So there's that whole
Yeah.
legend of these beings that live in Shasta. And having grown up and stomped all around Mount Shasta, I'm like, there's some weirdness still going on up there.
I
So
want to go
maybe
to
so.
Mount Shasta someday.
It
That's
is
my goal.
crazy. Yeah, it's beautiful and I love it. But I feel really bad for his family. I feel
Hmm.
really bad for, you know, Holzer's family. My goodness. I mean, what they
Yeah.
had to deal with. He just doesn't come home. He was respected and everybody loved him. Seemed
And
like
it
a
took
kind.
like 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks. And then his wife shows up. Oh, we saw him 2 weeks ago. Like you knew
Well,
there was a puddle of blood. You didn't bother to get a hold of
yeah,
anybody
yeah.
to be like, hey, that's a lot of blood. That's not normal. Something had to have happened. But so it does make me wonder if the dad did see the blood on the son.
Well,
But
yeah. I never said anything.
mhm,
And dad probably knew how bizarre Joseph was and was probably a little scared of him.
probably.
You know,
I
like what do
mean,
you do? What do you do? I
yeah,
mean,
if
now,
he's gonna hear someone screaming like that, I mean, and for his head to be mangled, he had to be screaming.
yeah,
And oh, he's throwing up, and you're just gonna, okay, no big deal, going back to bed. Like, come on.
yeah. I imagine everybody in the household was probably living in fear of this kid and just was
Oh
hoping they
yeah.
weren't be the next one. They probably knew that he's done really horrible things, and
And it makes you wonder how many like travelers just disappeared, but nobody knew because back in that time frame, I mean, how many kids were sent over here by themselves with no family on the,
right.
you know, boats? So it makes you wonder like how many more there actually was that he murdered.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
it's
will say I appreciate the justice system back then because they're not sitting there for years. It's like
no,
you are found guilty and you are sentenced to, if it's death or whatever, and you don't sit there for years upon years of appealing. I mean, all the
right.
murders we've dealt with in Idaho this last
Oh, I
few
know.
years. And I'm like, and you guys are just going to sit there like when you shouldn't be.
I haven't I've almost finished one for the channel, but she was guilty and executed same day.
See, that's what I mean. Like,
But you
yeah.
got to wonder too how many people were innocent.
And I mean, in that sense, yes, I will agree with you there.
That's I mean, if there's overwhelming, I mean, this guy admitted it and blah blah blah,
Like when there
and
is like overwhelming evidence, though, like when it
right,
is a slam dunk, open, closed book case, why are we letting them sit in our systems for 20, 30, 40 years to
yeah,
where most of them are, passing away from natural causes instead of just, okay, you did it. We know you did it. Let's just take you out. And
yeah,
honestly, my opinion, I think they should be taken out the same way that they took their victims out.
yeah. I mean,
Eye
we're
for an
doing
eye.
a true crime podcast because we're true crime junkies, guys. So we don't
Yeah.
you around the topic. We both are very strong in our opinions on this stuff. I'd love to know what your opinions are. If you have a different opinion, if you agree with us. I mean, not everybody believes in the death penalty, and that's everybody's different. We all have our own belief system. I am very much like Trista. I'm like, just, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just you do horrible things to someone, then those horrible things should be done to you. But
It is though.
so when I lived in the South, it was very much vigilante justice back. I mean, and I'm not talking that long ago. So I lived in the South in the 80s, mostly. And I remember good old boys taking people out to the swamps and they were never seen again, and things like that happening. You would hear of stuff like, where's so and so? Oh, well, you know, he did whatever, and the town took care of him, and that's the way it was. Not that long ago, guys. So it was very.
But I mean, also look at how much the crime was limited because people knew, hey, if I do this, yeah. I mean, and I think that's half our problem in our society nowadays is so many people get away with so much stuff that there's no accountability.
Worse and worse and worse. I forget what I was listening to a show on an FBI agent the other day, and he said something like, gosh, I wish I can remember the exact statement, but he said something like 80% of the crime is perpetrated by like 10% of the population. Like it's the same offenders over and over and over again. They're repeat offenders, you know? Yeah.
I mean, look at Idaho. You can get more time in prison for drugs than you will touching innocence. Yeah.
So let us know if you like these old crimes. I love digging into them. I mean, we all can look up recent cases, and we will handle some recent cases, but these old ones are really interesting to me because I wouldn't have heard these had I not gone looking for some of these cases.
No. And the fact that I just love how graphic they are. Because it's so different from the coddled world we live in now that it's like, you can't say nothing, you're going to offend somebody. To where back then they're like, oh no, like his head was mangled. Like we didn't even know.
Yeah, his head was mangled. I had to use the term because what they said was so graphic. I'm like, yeah, YouTube's going to allow us to say that. And it was written in like 3 newspapers. I'm like, dang. I mean, they just laid out there.
It's crazy.
They had no problems describing anything that happened to anybody at any time. So we've really become.
It's awesome.
I don't know. Is that good or bad? I don't know.
I think it depends on who you talk to. But hey, the best thing about humans, the most beautiful thing about humans is no 2 humans think alike. Unfortunately, though, it is also destroying us. But at the same sense, it's also destroying us. It's sad because it is beautiful to know that no one will ever have the exact mindset as you on opinions, everything. But then we've turned into this society that it's like, well, if you don't think the way I do, then you're wrong.
Right.
And so it's like, where do we find the balance? Even with the crimes, I'm like, where do we find the balance? Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what this next year has for us, though.
Oh my God. Let's hope it's better in 2025.
It's going to be better. We're going to put positive affirmations out there.
So if you guys are not on our Pocatello Paranormal Research YouTube channel, go to that. We do a live Wednesday reading show with our psychic mediums. They do tarot readings and psychic readings. You can come on the show. You can ask a question, and they will give you a short reading. On Thursday nights, we do a live paranormal show. These are both live shows, Wednesday and Thursday at 7 Mountain Time. And it's Pocatello Paranormal Research. I'll go ahead and put that link into the description for you from now on. But thanks for watching our shows. We're seeing our viewership is climbing. We appreciate you very much. And we're going to be back next week with another crazy story.
Have a happy New Year's, everyone. Be safe out there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. 2 days. Woo-hoo.
We'll see you next year.
We'll see you next year. Man, I don't have to work until next year. I've got it made.
I know, either do I.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.